Let's check in with the Republican National Convention, which started yesterday. I'm sure, of course, that they will be calmly speaking about, the merits of conservative government, conservatism in general, and or small government, and probably some freedom and liberty. You know what? Let's just check in on them, see how they're doing.
They want to destroy this country and everything that we have fought for and hold dear. They want to steal your liberty, your freedom. They want to control what you see and think and believe so that they can control how you live. They want to enslave you to the weak, dependent, liberal, victim ideology to the point that you will not recognize this country or yourself.
Holy shit. Wow. Okay. All right. So look, what made it kind of worse is that she's yelling at an empty room. Yeah, there's nobody there. I mean, there's a reason nobody's there. It's because of coronavirus. But she's yelling at an empty room. It's kind of weird. I mean, it's almost like because you ever watch V for Vendetta, right? It's like that fascist TV broadcaster, right? Now the thing that, of course, kind of squares that is she used to be a Fox News contributor. So understand, though, this is kind of the theme of the Republican Party. I kept reading articles about how nobody could really match her quote unquote energy, right? That she dialed it up to 11. Dialed what up? Like, again, she was screaming at an empty room. But look, this is what you're going to get with the Republican Party, right? And so, I had the misfortune of watching that whole thing. And yes, there was some, you are tremendous, you're exceptional, whatever, but the Democrats are horrible and will completely destroy the entire country if you let them. Wow. Okay. But look, this is what a reactionary fascist party looks like. Okay. She speaks about the victimhood ideology, but again, a lot of that clip was her talking about how Republicans are going to be victimized by the Democrats. I know. And in case you think, of course, that's the only part of the speech that I'm like cherry picking out. No. I actually do want to show you a little bit more.
Biden, Harris, and the rest of the socialists will fundamentally change this nation. They want open borders, closed schools, dangerous amnesty, and will selfishly send your jobs back to China while they get rich. They will defund, dismantle, and destroy America's law enforcement. When you are in trouble and need police, don't count on the Democrats. Rioters must not be allowed to destroy our cities. Human sex drug traffickers should not be allowed to cross our border. The same socialist policies which destroyed places like Cuba and Venezuela must not take root in our cities and our schools. If you want to see the socialist Biden-Harris future for our country, just take a look at California.
You know what's ironic is that a lot of the stuff that she was actually talking about has happened under the Trump administration. Riots happening in cities, right? Under the Trump administration, right? Okay, massive economic recession under the Trump administration. Coronavirus under the Trump administration. I'm not saying that coronavirus couldn't have happened under a Democratic administration, but I am saying with 100% certainty that they would have handled it a lot better. That's not even a question. But understand, again, you go back to the fear mongering, right? That's all it was. Oh, Biden, Harris, socialist with their socialist agenda. They're coming for your freedoms. And look at that horrible place that's California. California's, I believe, the third largest economy in the world. I mean, or at least in the northern hemisphere or whatever. The pretty big economy, right? Doing really well. And yes, there are problems, and some of those problems are inherent in extractionist capitalism, but it doesn't have anything to do with socialism in there. I mean, climate change is part of the reason that California's on fire right now, literally. But if you want to do something about, that, Well, the solutions, she would call socialism. And so that's, of course, Green New Deal would cut down on climate change. So there's all that, right? There's all that fear mongering. And again, understand that that's like a Pavlovian response when you start saying socialism, communism, and it's ironic because here you have Joe Biden, who's the most conservative Democrat in the race, right, in the primary. I mean, other than Michael Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg, I think, was a little bit more conservative and when it comes to Democrats. It's almost as if the people who warned us that, hey, Republicans, they're going to attack Bernie Sanders, for example, the certain Democratic socialist from Vermont as a socialist. And so we need to pick somebody who's more conservative so they won't attack him as a socialist. Oh, right. Oops. It turns out they're calling him a socialist. I know. Weird. It's almost as if we saw that one coming. Look, understand though, this is a reactionary party. This is what a reactionary party sounds like. Anything the Democrats do is met with socialism, communism. We need to protect our freedoms. We need to protect ourselves against the other. And so that's what they sound like. So we have a reactionary party, and we actually have a conservative party now. We have two very conservative parties. It's just one is even more conservative, reactionary, and actually more proto-fascist. And so interesting how they keep talking about how what's socialism, right? No, what we need to do is we need to stop pretending the Republican Party is full of reasonable, rational actors. They're not. They're not. And that, we as Democrats can court them. It's funny because there's a recent, a brand new, actually, CBS poll that actually says that 5% of Republicans are planning to vote for Joe Biden in this election. They're capturing less Republicans than Obama with 8%, Hillary Clinton with somewhere around 6 to 7%. And so, the entire plan to use the Lincoln Project, Never Trump Republicans, to focus on them, right? Instead of focusing on the progressive base by actually embracing progressive priorities such as Medicare for all. They're even backing away from from a public option, from what I've been reading. And so, what have you done? I mean, have you brought in any Republicans, from the Republican Party? Only 5%, less than Hillary Clinton. Maybe going more conservative was not the right way to go, because it seems to not be having results, right? With only 5% of Republicans saying that they'll vote for Biden, which means 95% of Republicans are going to go. It's almost as if that Lincoln Project is a little bit of a grift. So here we have, again, a conservative party and a reactionary party. And look, the Republicans are basically one Reichstag fire away from becoming full fascist. And again, our choices are not great. I just spelled them out. Conservative, decent, conservative party that's okay on social issues. And then you've got the fascist party. I know it seems like it should be, but it's not really a tough choice for me.